Okay, so right now I am doing some organization, but I wanted to conclude what I was saying the other day about body shame and weight and things like that. Basically, I just think it's very important to realize that you are a person as a whole and not just segmented body parts or roles or things like that. Well, roles both like performing roles and roles like in fact, you know. I think the problem that can occur sometimes on a weight loss journey is foregoing that concept of who you deem yourself as. Some people identify with being the fat girl. Or some people identify with being the friend or whatever. And, everybody is free to call themselves whatever. But I think a lot of times when we put ourselves in a certain category, it's difficult to overcome that category. It's kind of like you feel your life maybe going a certain way because of this that happened or that happened. And the process to growth and overcoming all that has happened is the process of doing and letting go of the story the same way as you have to let go of the role. Now, your weight loss goal is going to vary depending on the category to which you put yourself in. Can have a disastrous opposite effect. Now, there's nothing wrong with being proud of where you stand. If you want to classify yourself as a black sister, if you want to classify yourself as a plus-size diva, big, voluptuous, whatever. The adjectives which empower you aren't negative. They aren't things you should dismiss. The problem occurs when you identify with a category to the detriment of your own self. Like, you're so proud of being skinny that if you're gaining weight naturally or necessarily, like say you're pregnant or your body's just changing and you starve yourself because you identify with being skinny, or you eat in a way that is detrimental to your health and causes you to gain outside of what your normal stature is because you identify with being plus size. And your goal happens to be health. I guess it's a weird dynamic speaking from someone in the plus size category where you desire health, but your habits and your mental might be in two different places. Say, your frame is larger than average. So you're probably never going to be as small as everyone aspires to be, or the average is, the average you see, because, people talk about the averages, whatever. And, you enjoy vegetables, you enjoy fruit, you enjoy, cooking healthily with a little bit of oil, blah, blah, blah. But you also enjoy your donuts and your pizza and your lasagna and all of that. And I think it takes some time to find that balance. And I think a lot of people go on very strict regimes because they know that it'll take a long while for them to find that balance, and people sort of do it in an opposite kind of way. Like, they go on the strict diet while they're losing weight, and then they figure they'll just figure it out later. And one or two things happen. They never really they tempt themselves, um, or they try to figure out the balance and end up gaining some back or whatever. I'm trying to cover a broad range of topics that have just been on my mind, so I guess I'm talking about like a plus size girl's journey to health and the confusion with the labels, and also finding that proper balance between enjoying food if you choose to, and also living a mostly healthy lifestyle. I think one of the main things to think about when living a lifestyle is what do you want to define that lifestyle as? If it's healthy, what's healthy to you? Because a lot of people will try to debate and things like that with you about what is healthy, what you're doing is not healthy, don't do this and don't do that. And they're talking from a place of what has worked for them and what doesn't work for them, and you have to discover what's working for you. And to be able to stand firm in that. And I know a main part of it for me is the mental. There is no longer a doubt in my mind that weight loss in and of itself is possible. Now, the main struggle and the main issue comes in with the mental. My mental is not always on point. Not that anybody else's is, but the way I handle things is not in the most positive manner and is counterproductive to the health mission. Like I've already said, a lot of times I veer off of the plan that I have found to work for me. By being in my feelings. And sometimes it's not so much you have to disregard your feelings, but you have to be able to compartmentalize your feelings. I'm very much of a heart-based person, and that's great and horrible at the same time, because you have to know that you can feel a certain way and still do what you have to do. It's okay if you're sad, it's okay if you're anxious, it's okay if you're completely and utterly happy, but at the same time, there's still a goal that requires you to push past your comfort, a goal that requires you to pull in reins. Sometimes it can't be a free-for-all. You may have free-for-all moments if you can handle them, but it can't be a free-for-all, because that freedom for most people is detrimental. It's dangerous. It's a two-sided thing, really. I mean, balance differs between people. I know that for me, I can't be one of those people that says everything is off limits, etc., etc. But in the same token, it has to be a controlled allowance. If you know some things are like your absolute favorite food and they aren't the healthiest, sure, you can have them, but you shouldn't have like a stack of them in the house knowing that that is what you most likely will default to over grilled vegetables or over, baking your meats or whatever. There's also the issue of your environment, whether that be people or place or whatever. And, at the end of the day, you have to take ownership and realize that things aren't going to be the way that you desire them to be. Things may not have happened the way that you would desire them to happen. And now that you realize that and seen that, what are you going to do about it? What can you do about it? Where are the weak areas in your life? Whether that be the people you need to spend less time around, or the environment you maybe need to go outside and get away from, or just, do something different, because staying in it, soaking in it, I don't want to say reveling in it because that would mean you enjoy it, but, constantly surrounded by it is not going to do you any favors, and I say that by first-hand experience. There are people that are able to get over their past, not just in letting go of the story, but because they have created not just emotional but physical distance from it, and not everybody has that liberty. So in essence, the key thing is to take ownership of where you stand in the complications and how you can perform differently, because if you can't change your environment right now, then you have to change you in a positive way. Not necessarily your personality, but maybe the way in which you handle things, because the world isn't going to fold into what you got going on. As important as you are, everybody else, is dealing with whatever they're dealing with, and you can't control how they deal with things or how they perform or whatever. But anyway, this was just a reminder for today, so thank you for listening. Peace.